Is Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson a franchise type of prospect? We'll discuss it next on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your favorite podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find me on Twitter at DP_NFL. And of course, I'm a national scout over at the Draft Network and your favorite and local running back guru. And to talk championship things, as always, you know I can't go without my guy, Keith Sanchez. You can find him on Twitter at TheTalentCode. Keep talk to him, baby.
What's up, Locked On family? This is Keith Sanchez, Senior Draft Analyst at the Draft Network. And yes, 2019 National Champion. Yes, those LSU Tigers, the greatest team to ever grace the football field, man. The gridiron, man. But DP, why are we here, man? We're here to bring championship-level content surrounding around the NFL draft when it comes down to prospects, philosophies, breakdowns. But guess what, DP? We got a prospect, baby. We have probably the prospect. We have Florida's Anthony Richardson. It was his pro day, man. It was his pro day. It wasn't long. They said it was probably about 40, 45 minutes, probably about 40, 45 throws. It was, quick, to the point. It was intentional, right? But DP, I want to ask you, man, what were your biggest takeaways?
Man, it's almost duh type of situation, but the arm talent, but not just the arm talent, Keith, the upper body flexibility, because he makes throws that physically you don't think he's supposed to be able to make, right? Like off platform stuff, like feet and his body's contorted in ways like the Tennessee game where he like feels pressure outside, he jumps and bounces up into the pocket, into the left, then bounces to the right. His feet are nowhere near set, and he makes a dime throw that ends up, I think, going to Justin Shorter in that game for either a touchdown or almost a touchdown. But just the ability to contort his upper body and just the looseness. He's got a loose upper, like his torso up to where he can literally turn and rip throws. He had one rolling to his left, and he threw the thing about 50 yards down the left sideline, and it was just a flick of the wrist, baby. You know what I mean? Like a sweet three-pointer. Just a flick of the wrist, and it just was on the line, Keith. Fell right into the hands of the receiver, man. And it's just the arm talent. We talked about this with Will Levis. But, Keith, I'm going to say this. I think you said this before as well. I think this kid probably has a top 2 arm in the league. I think you said top 3. I think he might have a top 2. Like this kid's arm talent is elite, Keith, and not just to see the throws off platform and where he can, how much power he can generate, how much depth and distance that he can generate, right? Move on the move with air underneath the ball, right? Flicking the wrist and it just travels, Keith, like he's got it by the remote control and tells it where it needs to go, type of situation. But also when he is stationary in the pocket and the ability to drive throws like in the middle of the field, right? Like really drive him in those tight windows. That term, and Keith, I know you've heard this before too. He could throw it through a brick wall. Yeah, no. I think we love what Will Levis has. I think Anthony Richardson might be able to throw it through between 2 back-to-back brick walls. Like that's how much velocity and pop that he throws the football with.
Yeah, no, I think this was important because this was the first time, and I've watched the film, right? You said, obviously, I'm the scout at the Draft Network. Florida's in my region, right? So I had to do the deep dive. I watched over 8 games of Anthony Richardson from this year. I watched spring game. I think the 65 snaps he took the year before. So I feel really comfortable with Anthony Richardson. The pro day was important for me because of this, man. You got to watch him consistently throw the ball. And it's like, well, what do you mean? Well, at Florida's entire offense was inconsistent, right?
Yes.
Then you go to the NFL Combine, it's not him just taking 20, 30 snaps at a time where he's throwing the football, right? Where you see him in rhythm, right? It's he go, then, someone, CJ Stroud goes, then someone else goes. So, it's kind of a break in between. But I think you was able to see him put together, kind of just like 15, 20 throws, and just put them together and be like, okay, cool. I like that one. Okay, I like that. damn, that was really good right there. And so it kind of, it brought you on this journey of, okay, the things that Anthony Richardson could possibly do. Because I will say this, that at Florida, um, I think that there were some handicapped situations with Anthony
Mm-hmm.
Richardson. Whether, and I hate to just put everything on the wide receivers, right? Because that's not the case. But just the offense, period. I think there was a timing and rhythm issue, right? Like just with everything encompassing in the pro day. So I took away from actually seeing him able to throw the football. Like I think that was a thing. Like, okay, how does he throw the football? And I think that's what wowed everybody, right? Steve Smith on NFL Network right before, he said, man, look, I expect this guy to tear it up, right? Like this is going to be a t-shirts and shorts type situation. I expect him to come in here and do his thing and make some really impressive throws. And what I wanted to see was Anthony Richardson going to be uptight? Like the moment, right? Because that's
Right,
what that's
right.
what really matters with quarterbacks is the moment. But he came in and he seemed pretty comfortable, right? Like from the very beginning, he was a pretty comfortable quarterback, and that really showed growth and maturity in what I seen from him.
No, without question. I think, they asked him afterwards, all the quarterbacks would sit down with NFL Network. And I remember listening to him, and they asked him, like, man, did that little kid in you who dreamed of being here, did that kid show up? And he was like, yeah, I'm out there having fun, man. And not only that, but I love the answers. This is a young man, Keith, that truthfully played a handful of games as a starter, but he already has that like natural leadership because they asked him like, man, about the media being here and how his takeaway from it. He said, man, I don't really care about the media. He said, I'm out here for my brothers, for my guys, man. My guys running routes and stuff. He was like, yeah, y'all came here to see me, but y'all gonna see them too. And it's like that answer resonated so much with me, Keith, because that selflessness. You've been in locker rooms, Keith. I've talked to people who've been in these locker rooms, and that's something that's big because if you come in there, no shot at Zach Wilson and the Jets, but remember the Zach Wilson like post game interview fiasco this past season when they asked him, do you think that you kind of hurt the team and after the defense was playing so well, and he was like, no. Check the tape, Zach. You did. You know what I mean? You can't say that.
Even if you had a great game, right? Like you threw for 5 touchdowns, 500 yards, you can't say that. Like that's just one thing you
No,
can't say.
like you can't be like, oh, so Zach, with your play, do you feel like you hurt the team? Not one bit,
Yeah,
bruh. Yes, you did.
I agree. So I think that was important too, because that's one thing I wanted to tap into was the interview process because to say he's such a high profile name, I mean I feel
And
like
he's
this
like
would work.
20. I think he's
Yeah,
20 years old.
yep. And he's because he's such a high profile name, but nobody really knows the person Anthony Richardson yet, right? Like there hasn't been any commercials, there hasn't been any real sit down interviews, so you don't really know who the person is, right? Like just to hear how he commands, just the microphone when he's talking. Does he speak with confidence? Is he a passive person? Is he an aggressive person? Does he relate to people? Is he standoffish, right?
Yeah.
Is he charismatic at the microphone? And all of those things are important when you're talking about a franchise quarterback. With DP, listen, man, we sat in here, we talked about arm talent, right? Arm talent, arm talent, arm talent. But I mean, we have to look at history. And arm talent hasn't necessarily always panned out in the NFL. But I want to get into why, if you believe, right, and we're going to come after this segment, man, talk about if you believe in Anthony Richardson and his skill set and the translation that it can have to the NFL coming up next.
Guys, if you need a treat and you need something to eat and you're on the go, but you don't want the fat and calories and or any of the carbs, stuff that you don't want in your body, you got to give Built Bar a try. Built Bar is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. The reason why it tastes like that because it's made out of 100% real chocolate and has a variety of flavors, guys. About 17 to 18 grams of protein, and it'll really give you energy and it'll keep you going until you can sit down and have the nice hearty meal that you desire. Guys, I promise you now, you can go, if you want to give it a try, you can go to your local Walmart, go to the pharmacy section, and you can get a 4-bar box of Built Bars, cookies and cream, coconut puff or cocoa puff. I think it's coconut puff. And you can really test it out. It's like 4 bars. But if you are someone that's already tested it out and you want some more, you want more than that, go to your local Sam's Club, get a 13-bar box of Built Bar, and you can get it in a variety of flavors as well. At the end of the day, we can help you get a little bit off. So just go to BuiltBar.com, use our promo code LOCKEDON15, and you'll get 15% off your next order. Anthony Richardson, NFL projection, Keith, and no, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, and let's set the table, right? And we're here locked on, right? We love our people. We love the community that we've created, right? And we want to give the honest opinion and the honest perspective about this, right? Because what I don't want to do is, because we've heard a narrative before, right? We've heard Big Arm, we've heard Mobile, we've heard Killer Pro Day, right? So why should our listeners be more willing to buy into Anthony Richardson and not say that, hey, I've heard this before and it didn't work out?
First of all, it starts, of course, with the tape, right, Keith? Like that's the number one thing. We talked about Zach Wilson earlier, but Zach Wilson may have been the guy that been the kiss of death to all pro day hype ever since his pro day, and things have not worked out for him, right? So it's like people want to look at the pro day like, I don't know how much to take into it. I think if you want to buy in, you buy into a young man that his teammates love him, first of all, right? The character in the locker room. Sat down one of his offensive linemen this draft cycle and talking to him off the record. And he just told me how much he loved the kid. And, man, this is a star that the NFL just needs to do right by because he has all the tools, everything, the size, the athleticism. But he's actually very intelligent. And you first game, Keith, of the season against Utah, it's third and 15. Late in the play clock. And he gets up to the line of scrimmage and makes a check, makes a call, changes the play because he spots and IDs something in the secondary, right? He sees it pre-snap, snaps the ball, and he drills like a 20-yard just strike to Ricky Pierce all up the seam for a first down, right? Early in that game, keeping that momentum because 3rd and 15, you can see that in the NFL every game. We see it every game, right, with veteran quarterbacks, right? So handling that situation, and different things of that nature. It's all across his film of him handling things at the line of scrimmage, making checks to protection, making the right calls and audibles. And it's like, okay, for a first-year starter, he does some things that you expect from a 3-year starter, Keith, pre-snap. So those things give me a lot of hope for him as well. But also the recall when I watch him on tape too. It's like, that saying, fool me once, shame on me. Or shame on you, fool me twice, I'm not going to get fooled again. Like, it's that type of situation with A-Rich too. I've noticed that with him. Once he sees something once or twice, if you keep going back to it, he'll start to burn you for it. And I appreciate that, Keith, because we always look at growth from game to game and then year to year. But just even in game, like snap to snap, can I see you grow and showcase the mental aptitude to say, I noticed that you overloaded the right side and blitzed me, and I didn't hit the quick out. That's cool. I'm going to hit the quick out for this first down this time. Or you send this at me and I see that strong safety come on the blitz. I'm going to hit that seam route to my tight end. And now we got a first down, right? So it's once he's confused, I like his ability to come back and not be confused again going forward. And it just shows that intelligence that he has, Keith. This is a calm kid too. Like even on film, you pressure him. Yes, he can get a little crazy at times, but like I said, once he starts to get the game underneath him and the game starts to slow down for him, you just see a young man that's back there kind of calm, cool, collected, and can make every throw in the book.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, I've been battling with this, right, DP? And we having, like I said, an honest conversation with our listeners, battling with this because the numbers, are out there, right? And also the film is out there. Like you almost have to, about to use a big word right here, extrapolate. Anthony Richardson from the film, right? You have to do it because there are moments that are not very good on film for both this offense and Anthony Richardson, right? And so moving forward, and we're like, okay, how do we project Anthony Richardson? It's trying to find that balance of, man, what I want this to be versus what it is, right? And I think that's where I'm kind of trying to find the middle ground with Anthony Richardson because you do, right? Like you see, because you compare him to Cam Newton, right? And you're like, man, this is a Cam Newton type quarterback if he gets everything figured out. But this was the thing. Cam Newton was easy because Cam Newton did it, right? Like this was easy, right? Okay, yeah, he took Auburn, won the national championship. Sounds like the number one pick to me, right? Like that was easy, right? But we're talking about a guy going top 5, like you said, who had 13 starts, right? that, he still has to understand some things. And that's, like I said, I give you credit and I give him credit in pointing that out. And it's something I noticed, right, that you will get him that first time because it's his first time seeing it. And that's how the game was for him, right? It was like, this is just my first time seeing it. I made that mistake. Okay, I get it now. But finding the comfortability and drafting that guy top 10, I think will be the real interesting point, right? Especially with the GMs and the coaches, and then, even talent evaluators, right? Just like, okay, where are we going to go with this and where are you going to find it? I think that's why the variance been so high. That's why you see, man, this guy's number 1 overall pick, right? Or this guy is, he's going to fall to 20. And then DP, let's talk about this part, right? I think his stock rose significantly when he ran that 4.4 at the combine, right? And everybody was like,
easily,
man, this is a freak athlete. But I want to talk about this. Where is, like, how would that part translate in today's NFL? And like, do you feel good about that? Like what part from the physical tools are you saying, you know what, I'm automatically applying that to the NFL?
No, to the first part of that question, it definitely translates. You know what I mean? We've seen it translate with other quarterbacks, but I think not just seeing them run fast, Keith. Like, this is a young man knows how to get out of the pocket when he needs to, and it's like he understands. He turns into a true ball carrier once he commits to run. Like, the ability to weave in and out of traffic and follow blocks and set blocks up downfield to make guys miss, stiff arm and run through guys. But that speed against your LSU Tigers, he had like an 80-yard run where it was just like. Sorry. I didn't. I had to. It's the first one came to my mind. It was the first one came to my mind. I'm so used to you say LSU. It was the first one came to my mind. He did the same thing against Utah for week 1.
Let's talk about Utah.
He did the same thing in Utah. I think it was like a 66-yard run where they played man-to-man, and that's where it changes the game, right? Like, he's one of those guys that changes the numbers because you can't just play man-to-man against guys like that because you know the phrase. You make a quarterback like Anthony Richardson and a guy that knows how to use that tool. Right? It's Keith, I lie you not. I'm not the most handy guy, Keith. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't taught how to, I've learned how to use tools as an adult because I ain't had no choice. You know what I'm saying? But growing up, I had, my uncles and all that. I just would watch. They ain't never actually showed me how to use the tools. So you know how women will buy a husband a tool kit? Yeah. You're not buying everybody a toolkit because they don't know what to do with the tools, Keith. So for me, it's like he has the tools, but he knows how to use them because against Utah, they're playing too high, they're playing man-to-man, and they completely forget that Anthony Richardson's mobile. They just all turn around and cover their guy, right? Granted, that's their job, cover the receivers. Anthony Richardson's like, all right, nobody's open. 66 yards right up the sideline, touchdown, right? So it definitely translates on field, and I think that's where it is for me. It's like he's not someone that has to run. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, he's a run-first type of quarterback. He wants to play from the pocket. He wants to win from the pocket. Like, he's comfortable playing with bodies around his feet and different things like that. So I think that for his NFL projection, Keith, I want to ask you real quick, when it comes down to his NFL projection, what's your year 1 plan for him?
Man, that's tough, right? That's tough because I'm really trying to figure it out, and I do have an answer. But my year 1 plan is this, man, putting him in a system to where he can learn, right? Because you're stuck in between, right? Do you want him to, because we talked about it, he needs to learn early, right? He needs to learn early, get the reps in, but then also you don't want to throw him in there too early and then learn the NFL game the wrong way. So, honest DP, you asked me that question, but guess what I got, man? I got another segment coming up where we're going to talk about not only what's our plan for him, but what teams we think fit with it. So I'm going to come back at you and say, coming up next, man, we're going to dive all the way deep in there. We're going to talk about these teams and what teams we think need to draft Anthony Richardson and what teams need to stay the hell away from Anthony Richardson. So we got that coming up next.
The Final Four is here. The March Madness tournament is heating up, guys, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and sign up today to claim your no-sweat first bet. Then you can wager on everything from money line to point spreads to which team will be cutting down the net when when it's all said and done. All of this on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at a no sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/locked-on to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Well, Keith.
So DP, now I gotta jump back in there, man. I gotta jump back in there. You caught me off guard, right? Because I was preparing to transition us into another segment, and you hit me with the curveball. But I had to recover, man. Listen, I fouled it off, and I'm still at war, right? I'm still at bad. It's a 3-2. But now we get to jump into it, man. We get to jump into it, and we're gonna talk about what teams, DP, we think Anthony Richardson is a good fit for. And I want to start from the very top. And it kind of be rapid fire, right? So we'll start with the very top. Carolina Panthers, are you in on them drafting Anthony Richardson, and do they have the surrounding pieces for him to be successful?
I'm in, Keith. I think they have the offensive line, having Miles Sanders to run game, but the biggest component to this, Keith, as you know as a former coach, is the coaching staff. I think over 50 years of coaching experience at the NFL level, which is so prevalent, so important to a young quarterback's success, because they have different ears and different mindsets in the room that have been there and done that. So I think the Carolina Panthers would be a good fit for him.
I agree 100%. Like we talked about before, they have Deuce Staley, they have Josh McCown, which is an okay player, but maybe he's a great coach, right? We'll figure that part out. But I'm buying into Frank, right? So next up, man, sitting at number 2, who should have a good opportunity to draft him, is the Houston Texans. You in on the Houston Texans taking Anthony Richardson?
I love DeMeco Ryans, Keith. Absolutely not. This is a team that I'm sorry, this is a team that is not set up to win. They have a lot of picks. I truly don't think they should draft a quarterback, to be completely honest with you. I think that they should just build this team up and get ready for next year. But no, I don't think the Texans are a good fit for him. And they run an offense that he's not used to running, or they're going to be running an offense, I assume, that he's not used to running either, with kind of that West Coast Kyle Shanahan stuff that DeMeco Ryans is used to from San Fran.
Okay, cool. Next up, man, draft order, we have the Indianapolis Colts, which is a rather interesting fit. Like on the outside, you wouldn't think, but when you see the inside of it, there might be some convincing that he can be okay there.
No, I like the fit, Keith. Similar to what we talked about on yesterday's episode about the Baltimore Ravens, or with Lamar Jackson, that you should probably check out if you haven't already. I'd say similar to that. I think it's a situation where you have weapons, the offensive line, you got a healthy Jonathan Taylor, Shane Steichen, Keith, back to coaching. He coached up a young Jalen Hurts the past 2 seasons with Nick Sirianni in Philly, and helped build an offense that worked around that type of play style. I think he could do the same thing for AR.
Yeah, I agree. I'm in on this one. I like this one. Like you said, for all the reasons, Shane Steichen, they have a run game. They have Jonathan Taylor. They have big body wide receivers, which guess what? Even when you compare him to Cam Newton, what happened? Everybody said, man, Cam Newton needed wide receivers like Devin Funchess and Kelvin Benjamin. So just in case he missed, he always missed high. I seen the very similar things with Anthony Richardson. So I think that would be a solid fit. DP, next up at number 5, man, we have the Seattle Seahawks. How do we feel about that?
Oh, I love this fit. I love it. Yes, sir. Give it to me. And twice on Sunday, I want all the stock in it, Keith, because a coach like Pete Carroll, who we've seen him take a guy like Geno Smith and get him playing at a high level, that just, for a fact how much believing in the player could do for them on the field, right? That a coaching staff actually believes in them. And at the same time, he gets to sit behind Geno Smith for at least a year. And then when he does step on the field, you have Tyler Lockett, you have Kenneth Walker III, and you have DK Metcalf with 2 bookend young tackles to build with. I love it.
Yeah, I agree, DP. And the reason why, and this is, you almost caught me up on the last segment. I almost went this way. But the Seattle Seahawks, this is my favorite pick. This is the pick I think he should go to. This is the one where, you know what, I would put money on, and this is not a betting show. Don't take my advice, but I may put money on him being very successful.
Keith said, bet your life savings on this situation. That's what he just told. That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
I did not say that. I like this fit, man, and I like that he can sit for it. Yeah, I think that's so important, man. We get so used to just throwing these young quarterbacks out there and saying, man, go do it, which doesn't make any sense to me, right? We're talking about the game being the most difficult that it is, right? Like, when we say this is the highest level, why not let them sit for a year? Like most of these guys, when they make the transition from high school to college, they sit for a year. Like, so that only makes sense to me, man. So Seattle Seahawks, that is absolute my favorite destination for Anthony Richardson, man. Next up, which they don't necessarily need a quarterback, but they could take one, Detroit Lions, real quick. How do you feel?
Yeah, similar situation to Seattle, right? Got, a really great head coach who's a player's coach and a veteran quarterback already there that he can sit behind, learn how to be a pro and how to win at the NFL level, and you can give him a year to get ready.
I agree for all the same reasons, and to not only mix this in, right, but with Seattle and Detroit, man, I think these head coaches are versatile enough to where they can throw in some fun packages at the goal line, right, for Anthony Richardson, and I think that'll definitely be something to look out for. DP, next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders.
Nope, I'm out, Keith. I love the weapons. I love what they have there offensively. Jimmy G, I don't know if he's that tutor as that Alex Smith, that guy that's willing to just teach you, help coach you up, being an extra coach. But also, Josh McDaniels runs a very complex offense, and I have not seen him just like really tailor it to this type of quarterback, right? Like, you know what I mean? So like, if he's not going to tailor to the offense to what A. Rich does and does well, I'm out on it. I haven't seen any evidence of this.
Yeah, I'm good too. He ruined Derek Carr. Derek Carr went from league MVP. Makes no sense to me. So I'm out on it, man.
He put the car in the shop. He totally lost the car.
Yeah, I'm 100% out on that, man. So next up, we have the Falcons, Bears, Eagles, Tennessee Titans. I don't think they'll be in it for a quarterback, right? Like, they still have the.
Nope. I saw what they did to Malik. Nope. I don't want AR in that same. Nope.
So I'm gonna go with a couple teams that I have to trade up to get up there. So how do you feel about the Washington Commanders?
I'm a Sam Howell guy. I like Sam Howell, but if they were to do this, I would love that fit. Eric Bieniemy will have him another alien-esque quarterback in terms of traits to build an offense around. But they have a lot of weapons too, Keith. Their receivers go 4 deep. You know what I mean? 2 good running backs in the backfield. They're rebuilding that offensive line, and they have a really strong defense as well when healthy. I like this. I like this fit.
Yeah, I do too, and I kind of want this to happen, right? I think after the Seahawks, this is my second favorite spot, even though I really do like Sam Howell.
Ryan Fowler's going to come for your head, man. Fowler's going to hear this and not going to like it.
We're going to have to talk about it. But I think Sam Howell is a good quarterback. I gave him a good grade coming out. I didn't understand the dislike for Sam Howell, but I think he's a good quarterback. But I like this fit. Like, I can see him, in Washington. I don't even like – the crazy part is I don't like much about the Washington Commanders. No offense to any of our listeners. I don't like the name. The name bothers me. Being totally genuine, but I would love him, in Washington. The last one, DP, I have up, man, is the Tampa Bay Bucks sitting there without a quarterback. Are they going to go into next year with Blaine Gabbert? They have some offensive pieces there. They have veterans. How do you feel about if Tampa Bay trades up and tries to get Anthony Richardson?
I don't mind this. I don't mind this at all. Like I said, they have weapons. This is a team that's been to the playoffs and have success. So they got veteran leadership in key areas as well. I don't know who their offensive coordinator is. I know they let go of Leftwich, which I didn't. I get it, but I didn't like the idea either. But I'm gonna say no, Keith. I think I'm gonna say I'm out on this one. I don't know the offense they're gonna run, and I feel like there's a chance that there's gonna be some instability with the head coach. I don't know how long Todd Bowles is gonna have, and I don't want to send my guy AR in a situation where he's gonna have a new head coach and potential new offense and all that stuff to learn in year 2. I'm out on Tampa Bay.
Right, man. So to wrap this up, I'm gonna say I'm in on this, man. I'm in on Tampa Bay for the reason of the NFC South is wide open, right? Like, I think he can instantly be competitive. The NFC is wide open, right? You name the top 5 quarterbacks, you throwing in Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, and whoever the hell else, right? Like, so he has a chance to just, make some noise as far as winning games. And if they just run the football with him and, running backs and Mike Evans is there, Goodwin is there, I think they can win some games with Anthony Richardson. So it wouldn't be a bad spot because of the division and a couple of the veteran pieces that's there.
Nah, like I said, it would be interesting, man. But I feel like if he fits, he could be a good fit in multiple on multiple rosters as we went through some of the teams. You know, there's some fits, some good fits, some not good fits in our opinions. But guys, as always, man, we appreciate y'all so much for tapping in with us. Thank y'all for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen every single day, Monday through Friday. Keep it going. Now for your second listen, go check out Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes. From free agency to salary cap management and more, join NFL experts Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino as they take you through what it's like to build a successful NFL franchise every Monday through Friday. Find Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And guys, as always, go subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts to get your latest episode as soon as it's available. Thank y'all again for making us your first listen and continue to do so. Y'all have a good weekend. It is Happy Friday. For Keith Sanchez, you can find him on Twitter at TheTalentCode. I'm Damian Parson, DP_NFL. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.